In three, two, one. My boy Daryl Ledbetter, the pride of Howard University's great sports journalism alumni association that includes the likes of Steve White, among many, many others, takes time out of his busy schedule as he has launched a new website. And Daryl Ledbetter, thank you for joining us here on OG Sports Rap here on the network. And I like the bow tie sports thing. Too bad you left the bow tie in the closet this evening for us, bro. But tell us about your platform, what you're trying to do.
Yeah, bowtiesports.com is our website. After 22 years of covering the Falcons, we decided we're going to keep covering them. We're just going to move it over here, over to the bowtiesports.com. We'll cover the Falcons and some of the league issues. Working on Sherman Lewis story right now. I spent a lot of time with him in Green Bay. He passed away over the weekend, and
oh wow,
four Super Bowl rings, but never got a shot. The modern day kids know about Eric Bieniemy not getting a shot to be an NFL coach, despite a great track record. Before Eric Bieniemy was Sherman Lewis. He had 4 Super Bowl rings, 3 with the Niners, 1 with the Packers. And he was very kind to me. He used to, show me the West Coast offense, when we would meet away from the facility and, make sure that, as a lone black sports writer in Wisconsin,
yeah,
at the time covering the Packers, that I knew what was going on. So good friend and good person to cover. So we're gonna be doing stuff like that. But mostly, we're gonna hone in on the Falcons. That's our expertise. We're not trying to be the restaurant that cooks hamburgers, chicken, and barbecue. We're just gonna cook what we've been cooking.
All right. Well, with that being said, I do have to take you away from the Falcons before we circle the wagons.
Mm-hmm.
But with your knowledge of the league, I have to ask you, Aaron Rodgers, since you brought up the Packers, re-signs with the Steelers and gets a 1-year, $25 million contract. I watched him last year, and yeah, he can still spin it, but some of the shots that he takes because he can't protect himself would seem to lead me to believe that he's kind of vulnerable. From a macro perspective, what do you make of the deal that the Steelers made with A-Rod?
Yeah, this shows the state of quarterbacking in the National Football League. They're not really patient in developing guys, or not really good at developing guys, not really good at drafting guys. We've seen guys bounce around. Desmond Ritter, bounced around. Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. Today, Bryce. We don't know how Bryce is gonna Young's gonna work out in Carolina. But, it's just the state of the quarterback position makes teams do, unconventional things here. And that's what we see in Pittsburgh, sign a 42-year-old guy. And, I just worry. I remember the Vikings Saints game where Favre was, it was clearly the end. He couldn't see the blitz. They were lighting him up. I mean, Greg Wood, that might have been the bounty hunting team, but
right.
but it was just sad to see him
Affect the head. Remember that?
yeah. When he couldn't get out of the way. So the Steelers, were run heavy under Arthur Smith last year. I'm sure there will be again. They're not asking him to throw 40, 50 times a game. I don't think that's not a recipe for winning for them, but it's just a sad state of the quarterback play and throughout the league at the young level, in the middle, developing them, and then the old guy sticking around maybe too long.
Wow, it's amazing how he can continue to control so many options, but I think you old enough to, I believe, remember Peaches and Herb, and I guess we could start playing Reunited in the background as we talk about the relationship coming together again with Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy. At this stage of his career, does that make the Steelers a team, because there's so many changes in the AFC North right now? Harbaugh goes to the Giants, Jesse Minter now in. What do you make from your macro perspective about what may be happening in the AFC North this year, especially with Rodgers at the helm in Pittsburgh? Are they the team to beat?
I think Cincinnati is my team to beat because you know what they did. You know, getting Dexter Lawrence in there, spending money. The
Mm-hmm.
Bengals don't spend money,
The
so
Bengals
that's
don't.
big tip off. Them my folks. I went to law school with Katie Blackburn, so I don't like to make fun of the Bengals too much. But they're my group because you know they had the offense the last couple of years. They couldn't stop a fly, so that's gonna help them. I think the Ravens kind of you know what Lamar's got a new guy. He's got a young guy that's gonna push him. We're gonna see how that works out. You know, the defense, the pass rush is gone. They got to get that ramp back up. So that's why I put the Bengals ahead of the Ravens right now. I don't like the Steelers. You know, they still don't have any wide receivers. I mean, they got the quarterback and the piece of a running game. Yeah, I don't really see them as a playoff or definitely not a Super Bowl contender. And then in Cleveland, they just got too much going on with the new coach, Deshaun Watson, if he can throw or not, Shador, the quarterback. They just got too much drama for a 4-win team or 5-win team, wherever they were last year.
And what do you make of the rumor about Prime going up there and I guess having a conversation with the head coach or what have you? Have you heard about that? Because I was reading something about that earlier today, where I don't know. I guess he's trying, as any parent would, you want the best for your kid, but is that just going out and being nosy?
Well, I mean, you know, two parts to it. I mean, you know, coaching football, you know, he always had a meddlesome dad, so he just made himself his son's coach and coached him as far as he could, which you know got him to the NFL. So he's still is his coach and his dad, so you can't separate. And I understand he went and talked to Andrew Berry, the GM up there, and just to kind of get a lay of the land and so forth. But I mean, you know, it looks bad to me. It looks like you're doing overreach and let the kid rise and fall on his own merit. You know, if he's better than Deshaun Watson, you know, won a national championship in college, I do believe, and you know, had a good start to his career before you know mayhem off the field and injuries have sidetracked him here a little bit. So if he can get back focused, you know, he's probably a better talent than Shador, and you know, maybe he can develop and to be a pro, you know, down the road. Ain't no shame in sitting and developing. You know, everybody wants everything so instantly now.
Daryl Orlando Ledbetter joins us right now, and he's launched a platform now after 22 years covering the Atlanta Falcons, but he's well connected throughout the NFL. So we'll be talking to him from time to time about a lot of different things, but to the team that you know, a team that I covered when I was down there for 6 or 7 years. And I want to kind of bring it home here for a second because in the DMV, Dan Quinn is our guy, good, bad, or indifferent. First year in Washington, NFC Championship, it was Camelot. Last year, they take a fallback. You were in the stadium when they had the big lead and couldn't finish the deal of the Super Bowl. Is that just a cloud that hangs over this guy, or is he good enough to overcome that and give people in Washington a reason to feel like they're moving in the right direction despite taking a step backward last year?
Yeah, no doubt. They got to upgrade the talent there, but Coach Dan is you know, he's the man for the job up there still, I believe. You know, I love the way his defenses play, you know, and he'll get them in position to make plays and hit folks. You know, they're bringing the wood every
Yes,
single
they are.
Sunday. So I love that. Now, offensively, he needed some growth. You know, he had Kyle Shanahan, his right hand man, running everything to the point that he couldn't stop it. You know, an obvious mistake. You know, he gotta be able to interject that, hey, no, we're in field goal range. We're not throwing anymore. You know, that cost them the Super Bowl with you know, few other things that went sideways there. So I would think he's got his more hands on the offense now to be able to, you know, okay, no, we're not. We're up. We're in field goal range. We're not throwing the ball. At least that. But I know he loves Jaden Daniels. I spent some time with him that first year. I stopped by during homecoming week, and sat down with him. We were discussing Doug Williams' candidacy for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I told him that myself and Jared Bell were leading that effort. We talked about the team and Jaden and what they were hoping to do. It was around about week 10. It was still a lot of ball to play. But he was feeling pretty good about that and the future up there. Got to get away from the injuries, get that offense suit back up with Jaden. I knew they were in trouble when they had to go to Marcus because we had seen that here. I just, was wishing them the best last year. And now they have retooled, got my boy Sonny Styles up there from Ohio State.
Ohio. So love that pick.
I gonna feel that defense around him, and the Commander fans gonna be just fine.
I would hope so, because last year was so tough, especially when you come from getting to the NFC Championship game and the expectations were so high. But what about the quarterback position in your spot right now? That seems to be the 800-pound gorilla in the room, if you ask me, from afar. I mean, the defense, respectable. I guess you run the ball a little something. But the inconsistency at the quarterback spot, do you have hope that it's going to be more consistent this year in the ATL?
Yeah, the hope is centered around Michael Penix Jr. and his left knee. The team put out some videos last week ahead of OTAs, which start this week, with him under center, him dropping back and throwing a pass to Drake London. So we don't know if that was the one play or if he put together a whole practice, because he's coming back from knee surgery. He's only 6 months out from an ACL tear. So, it's a 9 months a deal, 9 to 12 months deal. So they're trying to tell us he's back early than expected, without saying it. The surgery was November 25th. August 25th would be the 9th month. Then he would have 2 weeks to compete with Tua for the starting job. So if that's my quarterback of the future, I'm not rushing him back. But so their hope is all tied with he gets back on the field and he's good. Mm-hmm. He's 4-9, I think, or 4-8 in his 13 games as a starter. So, that's way too young to pass judgment on him. But that's their hope is riding on that left knee and that left arm that he can gun the ball with.
All right, I'm going to let you go on this one. I have to talk to you about the scheduling this year and so many international games and then short week games, and we all know that when you taking 100 plays a game and they high velocity collisions and you get 3 days off and then you got to go overseas, what the hell is going on with that type of schedule these days?
Well, I think, blame the coaches, because you don't have to play them people. You got 16 people on the practice squad. You need to use some of them, to cover the kickoffs and stuff and give guys breaks. You got a lot more roster maneuverability than you had in years past. So you got 53, you got to play 45, you got 53, then you got another 16. So you got those guys gonna have to play. And McCarthy told me this the year the Packers won the Super Bowl. He's like, man, we used 77 players that year. So, your scouting department has got to be on point, and the coaches got to be comfortable with playing all their guys. So that's my take on it. I'm for the international games. They talked about player safety and all that. We all know that's not, the real driver here. The real driver is money. And they're
merchandise.
The shop in Berlin last year sold out of all the Falcons gear. They had to send stuff over at the last minute because it was all gone. So they're going to do that again in Madrid. That's why you don't hear the teams fussing about it. Because they're throwing an extra $2 million, $3 million in their pocket just from selling $44 baseball caps and whatnot.
That's my guy, Daryl Orlando Ledbetter. Hey, Dio, thanks for taking the time to join us. Best of luck. And give the folks the shout out. Where can they find you?
Sure, they can find me on Twitter at Bowtie Sports Guy. The website is bowtiesports.com. All our socials are on there. LinkedIn with everything from TikTok to LinkedIn to Threads. So we're doing everything social media. as an independent journalist now, and you can just go to the bowtiesports.com and hit the membership or subscribe if you like. And certainly I'll be coming on with you throughout the year to discuss the NFL, Marcus. I've been a pleasure speaking with you.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you, my brother. Stay safe, and I can't wait for us to hook up again.
And I'll have my bow tie ready for him next time.
That's right, man. That is what you do, bro. Daryl Ledbetter, bowtiesports.com. Check him out. Stick with us. We got more of what you came here for on the other side. It's OG Sports Rap on the network. Remember, download the mobile app because we all we got.